What is up, guys, and welcome back to Above the Middle, the place where we talk about all things personal development with me, Joe Gibson. Just a little bit of a disclaimer before we begin. If you're into personal development, if you're into psychology, if you're into personal growth, which is basically personal development, and I've just said it in a different word, then thank you for being here. I would love if you could subscribe, like the video. I post new videos every Wednesday. Drop a comment down below because I really enjoy interacting with you guys. And yeah, I just want to get that little admin stuff out of the way. I just intend this video to be a little quick one and just a little motivator for you guys who are suffering with anxiety to face your fears. And I know that can sound like a really daunting thing for me to just throw out there to somebody who is suffering with anxiety. But from my experience, the only way that I overcame my anxieties was going through them, not away from them. You have to understand that when you are avoiding your anxieties, all you are doing is making it worse, because our brain runs on little feedback loops. So the things that you are doing throughout your day, they're sending like a little message back to your brain about your environment and about what's happening. So if you're somebody who is avoiding an anxious situation, like I used to be, then what I was doing through that process was just subconsciously telling myself that there was something to be afraid of. So the next time you find yourself in an anxious situation, it's going to be 10 times worse than it was before, because you've got this memory of that time when you avoided it the last time. So truly avoiding your anxieties just does not solve the problem. The metaphor I like to use is like putting a little band-aid on a wound, except the band-aid is actually infecting the wound instead of healing it. So when you take that band-aid off, when you come back from that avoidance behaviour, you notice that the wound's infected now, and it's worse than it was before. Your anxiety is actually worse, it's not better. The thing that you did to relieve yourself actually hasn't relieved you, not in the long term. And I know it's really easy for me to stand here and say to you guys, face your anxieties, because I've been there. I have been in positions where I have been faced with a shit ton of anxiety. Like when you're like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to face this. What I did, and I talked about this in the past video, is that I took small steps. I exposed myself gently to my anxieties. This is part of like exposure response therapy, I think they call it. There's a branch of therapy which specialises in helping individuals do this. And you know what happens when you start to move through your anxieties instead of avoiding them, is you get stronger. You become a stronger person when you face your anxieties, because you're telling yourself each time you face one that you can handle it, or at least that you're ready to face them. And so over time, when you begin facing your anxiety is going to start going from here to here to here to here. Now, anxiety doesn't totally go away. I still get anxious from time to time, but it does get much easier. But you have to move through the anxiety, not away from it. I won't lie to you guys and say that it's an easy thing to do. It can be really difficult, and if you feel like you need help with it, if you need a professional to guide you through the process, then 100% reach out for it. You shouldn't have to do it alone. But I also understand that some people just aren't in a financial position to spend money on therapy. And I couldn't do that. So I just did it by myself. And of course, this is subjective to your own situation and how you feel that you can deal with your anxieties. If they're quite small, if they're kind of medium intensity, then yeah, you could possibly do it on your own. Obviously, if you feel like your anxiety is way too high, then maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to do it on your own. But that's a decision for you to make. I don't want to stand here and say, yes, just run straight into your anxiety and deal with it. Like, it's not as easy as that, is it? What I did is that I did challenge myself in really small steps. When I started doing this, I had this really weird fear of how I would look on video. I was like, I'm going to look ugly, I'm going to look weird, I'm going to sound weird, I'm not going to speak properly. And when I started doing videos, it was rough. And I felt so much anxiety. I remember sitting down to edit videos and just being so consumed by this feeling of dread. But what I did is, through small steps, I exposed myself to editing, I exposed myself to doing videos, and over time I've built up now this courage and this ability to stand here and talk to you guys. and then go away and edit my videos and be fine. But that was a process and that took time. Would I have gotten over that fear had I not done it in the first place? Absolutely not. And that was one of the reasons why I was so hell-bent on doing this. And it was my own inner purpose. I was like, I want to be confident on video. I want to be able to take a video and look at myself in real time. And I don't want to have to avoid doing it because I'm afraid of how I might look or how I might sound. And that is kind of the mindset that I have towards every single anxiety in my life now. If I feel that hint of anxiety, I get inquisitive as to why it's there. And then I'm like, well, I'm not letting that stop me from doing something. I do not want to live a life where I am not doing something because I am afraid of it. I want to be able to say a few years down the line or at the end of my life that I did things because I wanted to do it and that I did not avoid doing things because I was afraid. And I can tell you straight up from somebody who has suffered with bad anxiety, who has suffered with OCD, that facing your fears is the way out. And this is kind of like the epiphany which you have as well. It can sound really daunting about facing your fears. It can sound like a horrible thing and like it's going to be a challenge, and I won't deny it is a challenge facing your fears. But what facing your fears does is it gives you a way out, because that is how you're going to overcome your anxieties, through facing them. So if you are somebody who is afflicted with anxiety over certain situations, this is kind of like a lifeline. It sounds rough, it sounds like madness facing your fears, but facing them is the thing that is going to decrease your anxiety. So that is the message that I wanted to get across to you today. It's just to tell you guys that there is a way to decrease your anxiety, and it does involve moving through it, not against it. From my personal experience, that is how I managed to overcome my anxieties, was actually facing them. So thank you so much for watching. It is hard to talk about it because I don't want to make it sound like I'm putting you in uncomfortable positions. I'm just talking from personal experience and how moving through anxiety has worked for me. And I know it can be scary, I know it can be hard. I'm somebody who still deals with it all, but I've moved through it and it gets better. So I just want to remind you guys of that. So thank you so much for watching. Check back next Wednesday for another video. Check out my blog. Talk about this stuff in a little bit more detail. You can subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you along on the ride with me. Drop a comment down below. Love interacting with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. See you later.